This is Block and Bell, where crypto meets Wall Street. Every week, we break down what's really moving the global markets, from Bitcoin and digital assets, stocks, gold and silver, to institutional capital flows. If you care about where money is going next, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Block and Bell. This is Anna and my partner.
Hi, this is Rex.
Elon Musk, X-Money, just officially entered the early public testing, and it's not just a digital wallet. It's offering the public a staggering 6% APY on liquid deposits, a move that is sending shockwaves through the traditional banking sector. And XChat, at the same time, prepares for its independent launch this Friday, April 17th. And SpaceX moves toward what might be the most historical IPO in human history. The piece of a much larger puzzle are falling into place. Back into 2022, shortly after acquiring Twitter, Elon Musk has actually made a very bold and almost controversial promise at that time. He said he would produce the US version of WeChat, a Western everything app that would move beyond social media into the very fabric of our financial lives. Our topic today is actually simple but bold. This isn't just another product update or feature rollout, but we're witnessing actually a fundamental restructuring of global financial and payment power. Who will control the flow of money, and how will it be for our next generation, maybe in upcoming 20 or 30 years? So join us today, our two guests. The first one's Jon. Jon, can you please make a self-introduction?
Sure, I'm here from Silicon Valley. I'm the CEO of PayAll, which is a Web3 AI stablecoin payments aggregator, a relatively new venture. Prior to this, I ran a Web2 internet company for about a decade and processed probably over billions of dollars of consumer payments. So I know a lot about Web2 payments as well.
I guess he froze, huh? Yeah, so Lamine is the founder of One People Many Ways. It's a peer-to-peer currency exchange system where, if you have dollars and you want to get something crazy, I don't know, Saudi riyals, you can just connect two people and you can make the transaction happen, but not through any traditional payment rails. It's really person to person. It allows a lot of cross-border exchanges in the cheapest manner possible.
So I'm Lamine. I'm the co-founder of One People Many Ways, a community-based cross-border money exchange platform. And we operate essentially in emerging markets. And I'm glad to be here.
Nice.
I've been in the fintech sector for the past 15 years. I've worked mainly in payment processing. Community peer-to-peer exchanges is something we've been doing for the past 3 years exactly. And we're based in Orlando. And very glad to be here and chatting with you guys about payments.
Basically, in the old world, you used like the Visa and the Swift model, which is that sluggish and overpriced. I mean, we are in a new digital age now, and it seems like payments are lagging behind. So what kind of new payments exist out there? And are traditional banks basically going to get out of modernization? Will they just be left behind? And I mean, a lot of banks have been closing recently. So what do you think about the current financial system, the way it is, and the new rails coming into place?
I think banks are still going to be very relevant at the infrastructure level, or I should say not at the infrastructure level, at the regulatory and balance sheet level, but not at the user interface level. You're losing the user interface to apps and perhaps XPay and things like that. Visa, MasterCard has high fees, and that's because it's not because the technology is that profound, but they just own the payment rails. And if more incumbents could come into the space, fees, I think, will decrease.
I absolutely agree with that. And I'll add to it the fact that if we go back 10 years ago, the competition was really between the banks and the telecom operators. The big question was, are the telecom operators going to take over payment just because we're going to be able to do it on the phone? There was a lot of fear, a lot of resistance from the banks in general around the world. And what we're seeing now, it's really a shared marketplace where banks play a role, telecom operators have the opportunity to play a role. And it's balanced in a way that we're ready to move to the next stage, which is really just decentralizing the payment itself. So Let's see what happens.
So obviously the SWIFT stuff is 1970s technology, and the fees are essentially there because of friction. And as friction is eliminated and becomes optional fees, I think will go down.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's true. Anything in government, as you know, it just takes forever, right? Government will always be behind technology just because of the regulatory you mentioned. So it seems like, well, I mean, there's that FedNow service now, right? I don't really know anyone using it yet. I mean, do you guys use it at all? Or how's that going?
I don't. Do you use it, Lamine?
No, what's up?
FedNow, it's like the new way from the Fed, like to avoid wires or,
Yes.
transfers.
Yes. No, it hasn't really taken on with the masses. I think what we're seeing more is people relying on the crypto payments or, stable coins as a substitute, just because I think the trend is to have more freedom, less control, and yet the necessary safety to move your money. That's really where the world is going in the US and in many other countries.
And why do you think stable coins are safer than traditional rails? Is it because there's less blocking mechanisms, or what do you think?
Well, they don't have a requirement to be safer, but as safe in essence that, your money is going to the right place. So we have blockchain to satisfy that. We also have all the different security measures, in terms of, the latest technology that's being used in the crypto space that allows us to very safely move our money. At the end of the day, to your point, moving your money in the crypto space is not as reliable as you would to a bank, nonetheless.
Interesting.
But it is very transparent, and it's all recorded on the blockchain. Where I think the safety is going to become an issue is when we get into AI agent type of payments, and someone says, well, my AI agent bought that and it followed my instructions, but I didn't really mean to do the purchase. I think a lot of people are going to have to wrestle with that in institutions for the next 5 years.
No, it's true. That's the big issue with crypto. It's the chargebacks. I mean, it's not possible, right? If you send me money with crypto, I can't really charge back. And I guess that's the insurance of, Visa and MasterCard, etc.
Yeah,
so
you do have that, and you also have to deal with the basis of the smart contracts. The smart contracts from a technical angle are safe, but the purpose of them is not necessarily as regulated, and this is where you have room for possibly scams or just not very well structured agreements in terms of where your money goes and where it should be.
Hi, John. So why do you think X Money fundamentally different from PayPal?
I don't think X Money is PayPal 2.0. I think it's a combination of WeChat plus a hedge fund plus a network layer. And the front end is going to be X. The liquidity engine is going to be AI using XAI. And you could even put in distribution with Starlink and meaningfulness of the asset with SpaceX and allowing payments in regions without banking infrastructure. So I think it's a very big vision, and he's really building a closed loop financial system.
How do you think the X Money provides right now 6% yield? Like, it's really high compared to other banks or other similar products. Do you think we're going to drain the deposits from traditional like big tech banks like that?
Well, I think that's his goal, is to get users to become capital allocators, not just customers, and bring money into the system. And he's, going to pay for that initially. I don't think it's going to stay that much over prime forever, but in his user acquisition phase, he's going to pay handsome yields.
How do you think Elon Musk ambition and vision first in payment and also in his X system? We also know he has SpaceX, Starlink, X8, and X, of course. And right now, XChat just about to launch.
The ecosystem, yeah. I think I said initially that I think you could look at all of those building blocks as part of this big closed loop financial system that he's building. And I think Starlink is part of the distribution. And I think SpaceX, if it becomes a huge, huge IPO, gives a lot of credibility, financial credibility to his ecosystem. At least that's how I imagine it. What do you think, Lamine?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a speculation, but there are talks that, his infrastructure, his payment infrastructure is actually built with a Cross River Bank, which is the first bank in the US to actually agree to use XRP. So again, it's just a speculation, but from a trading perspective, there may be a play here by Elon Musk to kind of just dominate the payment industry. The other thing is, before he's going to launch his platform, he has already gotten the licenses, the regulation licenses from over 40 states in the US. So it's, he spent billions of dollars just getting those licenses. He has definitely a net game here. It's not just a small piece of his puzzle. It will certainly have a big impact.
Were you guys considering to put some of your money into X money?
Well, it's a private company still. Maybe put your money in XRP, but that's not a recommendation. That's just maybe it's a good time considering what they had to go through in the past years. You have, or maybe more safely invest in Cross River because that's his primary partner in the deal. My guess is as good as yours, but there's definitely a big play that will shake the markets.
It's really interesting you mentioned XRP. Why do you think XRP is the blockchain in general for payment rails? Why would it be better than, most of USDC transactions are probably on like layer 2s. There's Arbitrum, there's Polygon for Polymarket, all these other blockchains. Solana has been doing great too. So why do you think XRP is the clear one to win? Just because of partnership?
I think it's a good question, and only Elon Musk can answer it. And he's counting on that. In a way, the fact that he's very mysterious as we speak is probably for that reason. He understands the impact of it, and he's keeping it maybe not a secret, but he doesn't mind the gossiping around it. But technically, it would make sense. XRP is a blockchain solution to move money. They're already in that space, in a parallel space. So, and they would be working with the same bank. So in terms of momentum and synergy, maybe it's the right thing to do for them.
I think XRP has a couple of, punch list items that, check a lot of boxes, which are very fast settlement, very low fees, cross-border infrastructure. But the adoption hasn't been as fast as people have hoped. And there's probably still some regulatory concern that's going to unfold in the next few years.
Got it. So perfect cue into our next big question, which is, of course, Alipay and WeChat Pay, which are like the end game of the application layer. You can do anything on Alipay, right? And WeChat, you can chat, you can pay your electric bill, you can book tickets to whatever, you can send money to your friends, you can do everything. Do we think that Elon Musk's end game is just to clone WeChat, or is it to move and evolve past that?
I think that what Musk's goal is, you don't say, how do I pay, but how do I prove I am me? And China's been successful in doing that by sort of removing the optionality. And, if you want to pay for something, you have to use those rails and you have to use those apps. They've, removed a lot of the friction. They've made it invisible, and they've normalized biometrics into the entire flow very successfully.
And he also has the capacity to reach out thanks to X. He has about 600 million users. So he has the capacity to reach a much broader market than his direct competitors, whether it's Cash App, Venmo, and so on, and Zelle. So I believe he does have the ambition to, at least on a national level, to completely dominate the market. Now, it's been mentioned that his payment is another form of Zelle, but just beyond national. It could be even international, considering that his users are a global base. Will he be able to dominate the planet? That's a big question mark for me. For many reasons. It's, we go back again to freedom, financial freedom, and the geopolitical status of things. It might be harder for him to just bring his brand beyond the US, but you never know. Maybe in the longer term, we'll see.
I almost think that he may have a hard time in the US because the US is optimizing for privacy and China is optimizing for efficiency. And his company is going to be subject to US regulation. But clearly, the overall payment ecosystem is moving toward less friction, and I think he'll capture that trend.
I agree.
Actually, guys, let me share some payment situation. If you travel to China in the near future, you're gonna meet. So right now, if you want to understand the digital payment pulse of China, we have to look at two super apps. One is a WeChat Pay, and the other one is Alipay. Almost every Chinese have a WeChat account, and if you have WeChat account, a social app function, so it has actually more users than Alipay. It represents like two completely different philosophies of life for Chinese people. WeChat Pay, we call it like social king. So in China, unlike US here, when I need to get to Trader Joe's or to Walmart, I'll pay with my credit card or Apple Pay. But in China, you just can, bring your WeChat or Alipay, and then you can scan or even just stand there and scanning your face is enough. Sometimes you don't need even to bring your iPhone or phone there. Just stand there and the machine will scan your face and that's it. It's
Right.
very easy and very convenient. Many foreign tourists go to China and they download WeChat or Alipay to do the payment. In terms of the user base, as of early 2026, the WeChat monthly active users is about 1.4 billion. And the times like people need to open WeChat for a day is like 10 to 20 times to check messages from families, friends. If I wanted to do some online shopping in some Asian supermarkets, I can also use WeChat Pay even here. I'm in US, so it's pretty convenient.
Do you have any privacy concerns about that, Anna?
Privacy regarding what?
Well, all the biometrics and it knows who you are and it knows what you're buying. And I mean, that's the pushback against a system like that in the United States, at least.
Right now, like each WeChat account, if you wanted to open a WeChat Pay, you need to link your ID or your
Right. Yeah.
bank account. So
Right.
it's like every account is KYC'd.
Automatic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, correct. But
It's very efficient.
but it's your willingness if you wanted to be able to use your biometrics, like scan your face to do the payment.
Your comment, Hannah, I compliment it with the fact that it's not just China. It's actually happening all over the world. What we're seeing, and a lot of time is in most other countries, the banks are regulated by the equivalent of a central bank. And they have already taken the initiative to kind of uniformize the payment system on a local level. So a lot of time, even in the most remote emerging countries, people just pay with their phone. The concept of using a credit card is outdated completely. And the Western world is lagging because of the pressure of the brands such as MasterCard, Visa, and so on. But it's inevitable that eventually we're going to get to that level. And I think that's why Elon Musk positions himself at the crossroad when he knows that the technology is outdated and we need something better and we're going to have to do it anyways. So the timing is really good. We have many, just in the US alone, I mean, we see the usefulness of having Venmo or Cash App or Zelle and how fast these enterprises have grown. So the demand is definitely here.
And I think we will get there. But in the words of Ernest Hemingway, gradually and then all at once.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well said.
Yeah, do you have any other questions regarding the payment in China? You can add.
No, I'm familiar with it. I'm pretty familiar with it. But that's a good segue to Brazil, India, right?
Yeah, I mean, Brazil and India, indeed, they have zero fee real-time transfers. They do have their CBDC, so, central bank digital currency. It looks like Singapore is getting into it. The reality is, will we see something like this in the US? Do we see this CBDC as a good thing? Because it's like a crypto, but it's kind of not because it technically is on a blockchain. And what are the risks that might come with something like that on a, a larger scale like US?
Well, I don't think the war is Visa versus crypto. It's nation state payment systems versus private platforms right now. And zero fee payments are now proven to work at national scale, which is, a pretty important discovery. And, traditional crypto lost the narrative. Bitcoin and Ethereum are too volatile for everyday use, but stablecoin has won the use case. So whereas Bitcoin never became everyday money, USDC and USDT are becoming the back end of global dollars. They won because they solved real dollar movement.
So you have anything to add, Lamine?
Absolutely. I agree. And a lot of it is the reliability factor in the sense that there is not, just relying on stablecoin allows many actors to not have to deal with the fear of having their accounts frozen for geopolitical reasons and so on. So it has much more yield than just fiat from a specific country. Even though it kind of brings the best of both worlds, it has that USD markup and yet the freedom of usage.
So I would just punctuate that by saying that when Stripe embraces stablecoin, it's now reached a level of infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, however, is if I have USDC on my phone, I'm trying to pull out like cash. It's a process, you know. You got to put it on some exchange. You got to KYC. You got to do all that thing. So I'd say that's the big issue with stable coins right now. It's just the amount of friction you need to actually pull it into real world cash. I guess
that's where I think enabling direct stablecoin payments and some of the work my company is doing is going to become important. So I think over the next 12 to 24 months, you're going to see a lot of improvement with that, of eliminating that friction.
Well, as the alternative to the pain point that you're talking about has been to actually not use stablecoin, but to just rely back on fiat. However, we 100% depend on the local policies of the banks that work with the local currency in question. Meaning, if we're in India, we have configured our platform to work according to the local policies of India. Same thing in the US, same thing in other countries, and we match the liquidity between our participants. So technically they are going by the local rules, but the benefit to that is we actually don't need to move the money internationally. We just match the liquidity. It stays the liquidity stays in the respective countries. It's just matched.
Wow, it's a smart solution for money transfer indeed. You don't have to actually send money over. It's just you put it here and then you pull out there, and the liquidity matches. That's actually really smart.
Correct. And also from a friction perspective, most citizens understand how to move money within their own countries. So it greases the line quite significantly.
Hi, Jon, I have a question. In terms of crypto payment, what do you think are the major challenges for the crypto payment now? And what's your vision for crypto payment in the next 5 to 10 years? I would say 10 years is too far because it's crypto.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue into the next topic, which we were going to talk about AI agent economy, and that's where I think it's headed. So I think we're going from human to human payments to machine payments. And I would say in 5 years, most payments will not involve a human decision. And I outlined earlier in the talk, chargeback issues with that and people readjusting their expectations. But we're going to have governments, tech giants, and crypto all basically trying to get the rails of what the payments are going to be in the next 5 years. And I think it's going to be, of course, stablecoin is going to be at the center of that.
As a customer, have you guys ever used crypto payment in US when no matter you buy anything, food or dinner?
Yes. So there are crypto issued cards on the Visa MasterCard rails that you can load with stable coins and use. And I think in New York, I don't any longer, but I think some New York stores actually allow you to scan the QR code to pay with crypto. Am I right?
Yeah, they still do.
Correct.
Do you need to also pay tax?
If you're following the law, then yes, you do pay tax.
And this is new. I think for the past 3-4 years, the IRS do require you to report your crypto transactions. So you got to declare it.
Yep. I mean, that was the good thing about the Crypto Clarity Act, right? It allowed financial institutions to, put in. But I guess the bad part is now we can't say, oh, this money was whatever money. It's like it's officially in the tax system.
And I think this is where providers such as and others, XRP, Ripple, that are US based, they will report your transactions. So you better declare them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the key word of what you just said is are US based. So there are still ways that people can get around that. And I think that's going to be a tension with crypto in the next few years because the United States definitely needs to keep collecting taxes, it seems.
Yeah.
It's spending a lot of money, and I don't think it's going to allow crypto to just become a way to not pay taxes.
Yeah. And
So that's where the
a trend.
regulation versus efficiency is going to take place, I think, primarily over taxes, is my
It's a trend
prognostication.
around the world. I mean,
Yeah.
in Europe, they're putting out a lot of laws nowadays to collect taxes from crypto. I'm sure it's happening in Asia too. We're going through that stage, just like we did with the internet when we started taxing, and all of a sudden everybody's taxing. Everybody has a tax law for any goods that's being purchased online. The same thing's happening with crypto. I think it's within a few years, it's going to be worldwide.
Well put.
Who are the giants in the crypto payment now, and what are the focus for next?
You have Binance, which is founded by CJ, a Canadian founder who ran out of Singapore for a while. Now he's running out of the Emirates. They probably dominate the market. And then, you have all the other Trustwire. In the US, it's clearly Coinbase. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
I would say if you look at the traditional payment companies who have really made moves in crypto, you have Stripe, PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard. In terms of the crypto native infrastructure, of course, Coinbase, BitPay, MoonPay, certainly Circle and Tether for the stablecoin issuers, and the payment networks like XRP, Stellar, and Solana is what I would say.
Yeah, I guess you can argue Solana and Ether for the USDT, Solana for USDC. Major players, Solana being in New York.
Yeah, payments are not a technical problem. They are a power problem. Whoever controls the payment rails does control the economic infrastructure of the future. It is true that Stripe now does 1% of all world payments, which is pretty significant when you think about it. I think it's about to hit 2% this year. So even if you can get just a small amount, if that's like trillions of dollars in transactions, you can get 1% of that. I mean, that's huge, really. It'll be really interesting to see the future, and it's really cool that you're working on this, Jon. Seems like you're bringing stable coins to the front and center stage, which gives people more freedom. And Lamine, you're giving people better opportunities to exchange currency, exchange different means of wealth. Because indeed, it was really cool on your website. Actually, I wanted to buy Iranian riyals just for fun. And it's like, man, that exchange rate's crazy. It's like $1, you get like 1.3 million of this currency. I was like, I might as well just for fun. And, your website allowed that. And I think that's something that few people have the allowance to do, especially considering, sanctions and other ways. So it was very interesting.
If you do it in the US, you're going to have to justify yourself.
Sure, I will. Souvenir. I would definitely have it as a souvenir. Because why else would I buy Iranian riyals? I think the inflation's getting worse. For sure.
I think, one question that could be asked in all of this is, are you willing to hand over your biometric data to a tech giant just to save 5 seconds at a checkout counter?
Amazon's already offering that, right? You can pay with your palm at Amazon. I've seen people register.
At Whole Foods, yeah.
Yep. That's a big question that needs to be asked. I think regardless, they're going to get that data and they have it, right? So it's just, if they're going to have it anyway, just use it and enjoy paying without. What do you think, Lamine?
Yeah, I would answer that question with another question. Are you ready to have Elon Musk become not only the screen behind your social media and your Federal Reserve at the same time?
Yeah, and your bank account. That's giving one man a lot of power. Yep, it's true.
Absolutely.
He's the richest guy out there. So that's something we said.
Well, he definitely has the capital market and narrative power. He doesn't have the regulatory power. And I think that's where the fight is going to be. It's going to be interesting to see how it progresses. And is he friends or falling out with Donald Trump that particular week?
Yeah, what's going to happen?
Indeed. Well, apparently New York has resisted to give him a license among the few states that haven't done it. So
right. Now maybe if he offers free grocery store payments, he'll do it.
Yeah, he has work to do.
Maybe he'll slide in that way.
Not a bad idea.
Right. Want to talk a little about the regulation about payments?
I think the regulation is a work in progress. I think this is an evolving landscape. And just as, if you go back to the 90s when Web 2 payments were taking place, the entire chargeback system was very ill-developed, and now it's well-developed. And it was through experiencing these various use cases that Visa and MasterCard put a lot of the regulations in place. And I think the same thing is going to happen with Web 3. It's going to unfold. And we could all participate in that.
I would add to that, with all the research that's happening as we speak on quantum computing, the idea of regulation could go out the window in a very disruptive manner once we figure out a way to secure the transaction end to end with no middleman.
Wow. Well, that's a bold forecast. You may be right.
Yeah, but we probably have another decade before it becomes a reality. but it's around the corner.
I think that's a wrap. I think this is a good podcast, Anna. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you for your time.
Anna,
Learned
thank
a
you.
lot from this talk.
Likewise. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And if there are other topics you'd like us to cover in future, please let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time on Block and Bell. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And if there are other topics you'd like us to cover in future, please let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time on Block and Bell.